they're worth a speech. This is Patrick Doherty. This is somebody I coached for a TED Talk. He spoke at TEDx Charlotte. This was a couple of years ago. And Patrick is an artist. He does work like this. These are saplings. These projects take about 3 weeks to build. He'll do them up onto buildings or self-contained structures. My coaching of him was really interesting because he was going to just talk about his work and show a making of video, but it turned out what was really interesting was the fact that people would just come together and help for 3 weeks, take about 3 weeks, and it would be this organic community that would show up and help. And that's what he ended up talking about. More than the art was about the community that showed up to help build it. I went to TED Charlotte. I got to meet Patrick. Here he is speaking on the TED Charlotte stage. And afterwards, it was really nice. He was very appreciative of the coaching. A couple weeks later, I was talking to my parents. My parents live in Waco, Texas. Here's a postcard from Waco. Let me just tell you, nothing ever happens in Waco. Nothing. It's the dullest town of 100,000 in the world. But being polite, I said, well, has anything happened for you recently? Anything interesting? Well, as a matter of fact, we're doing a favor for the head of Arts Council. We're picking up some artist at his hotel, taking him to a talk at Baylor University. Some guy who does artwork with sticks. And I said, Patrick Doherty? It's like, yeah, how do you know his name? Well, I coached him for a talk. And my dad, always the cynic, said, oh, how long ago was that? Last week. He went right from Charlotte to Waco, Texas, where he built these structures in a city park. And here are my parents enjoying that. They went every couple days, watched him, and they called and said, it's so nice for you to have introduced us to him. And what's really cool is there's this group of people that just show up and help all the time. I said, that's what his talk was about. It's amazing. What are the odds that somebody I coached would go there and not only meet my parents, they had had him to dinner at the end when they did the ribbon cutting. So he had dinner with my parents in Waco, Texas. Is that not strange? Yes, but it's quite a coincidence. This girl figures into my next coincidence. She's a couch surfer. I host strangers in my house. This girl, Laura, sent me a request saying, I'd like to come. I'm coming to a conference in Asheville. Could I come stay with you? So I looked at the conference. She sent me a link to it. And I sent her a note and said, this really is a coincidence. The conference you're coming to is sponsored by Ashoka. Ashoka is the organization my daughter works for. What a coincidence. She sent back an email and said, well, that is a coincidence because not only is my father the president of the sister organization at Ashoka, but I worked as an intern at Ashoka myself. Well, that was pretty strange. So I sent that note along with a profile to my daughter who lives in Dublin, working for Ashoka, and I said, isn't this a coincidence? You probably know somebody in common. And my daughter's response was, oh my God, I hired Laura as an intern at Ashoka. So the next thing you know, I got an email from Laura saying, I just heard from Erin. She said, dude, you're couch surfing with my dad. It gets weirder though, because Laura, in the course of that, said that Laura said that she was bringing somebody with her and said, I think I better mention something about him. My friend Fabian is a convicted murderer. Oh, now I come from a place of trust, but how trusting am I going to be? I had to decide, and finally I decided, yeah, he could come. She said, only if his parole officer will let him come. Oh, that was Ashoka. This is Fabian. Well, Fabian's parole officer wouldn't allow him to come. He couldn't travel. So Laura came. She had an early connection with couch surfing. She used to live with the guy who started couch surfing. I had an Inc. magazine. So she had been connected with couch surfing a long time, and there was an Inc. magazine with an article about couch surfing. So I brought that out, said, I thought you'd be interested in this article. She said, I can't believe you're showing me this magazine. Why not? And she went 4 pages earlier in the magazine, and there was a picture of Fabian, the guy she was going to bring. He was profiled in the same magazine as Couchsurfing. Now, how many coincidences can you have with one person? So Laura was a great guest. We got to be good friends. That was coincidence number 2. This is my daughter, Erin. This is us enjoying a beer together. Erin and I like having beer together, and a couple of years ago, she announced that she was coming for a wedding right around her birthday, and as it happened, the Brewgrass Festival was the day before her birthday. Well, I want to take her to the Brewgrass Festival. We could go have lots of beer together. Tickets, though, are very difficult to get. Here's the Brewgrass Festival. What it looks like, if you're not familiar with it, brings 3,000 people together to drink beer. The tickets sell out in a day. They're gone. So Erin was coming, couldn't get tickets. Well, they were on Craigslist. So I thought, well, I'll watch for them, and I kept watching Craigslist, and the tickets would go like that. Finally, I saw one come up. I was watching like a hawk. This is the day before Brewgrass. So I contacted the guy right away. I said, not only will I pay your asking price, but I have a t-shirt from Asheville Brewing Company with a Hunter Thompson quote on it that says, good men drink good beer. If you'll sell me your tickets, I'll give you this t-shirt along with your asking price. And that sealed the deal. He said, I'll go ahead. That's great. I'll take it. So I went, met the guy, gave him this t-shirt, got my tickets, and took my daughter to the Brewgrass Festival. Now I want you to see how many people are there, because it's part of the remarkable nature of this coincidence. I was in a crowd like this. I got there with my daughter. We were there about half an hour, and somebody was shooting things up in the air like this with a launcher. They were shooting something up, and one bounced at my feet. I picked it up, and what was it? It was exactly the same t-shirt that I had given away to get that ticket. There were 3,000 people there. There are 3,000 different t-shirts. That t-shirt was shot directly to me. The universe was saying, Rick, you're supposed to have that t-shirt. Now, if you can top those 3 coincidences, my hat's off to you. What's next? I'm going to go downstairs, and my former next-door neighbor is going to be in the lobby. Well, probably not, but I won't be surprised. Madam Toastmaster.